All right, here he is.
On January 6th, you talked about this a little bit. You feared for your life. What was that day like for you?
Yeah, I think the part that I haven't talked a lot about is that for the 4 months leading up to January 6th, because the president and all of his rallies would mention my name, I had, active assassination plots and death threats. And so I had to have a full Capitol Police detail, which is 6 cars, it's 3 cars, 6 officers in plain clothes that are with you every day in an armored car that you travel in. And when the day came for us to be here, they were like, we will take you right before debate begins. So my pickup time was 1 p.m. We arrived here. Again, it was COVID. Majority of my staff wasn't here. There was just one person on the staff assigned to help me navigate the day. And then my husband was like, I'm too scared for you to go alone, so I'll come, and came with me. Wow. And I remember being like, I have to find tennis shoes to wear today, right? Because I was like, we might be running around. And when we got in the car to come here, I could hear on their radio, because it was a police car, that there were pipe bombs that were being found, that there was a building that was being evacuated, one of the buildings that houses members of Congress offices. And we came into the office maybe 10 minutes after that. And my window was open because we were really excited. There was a balcony. And I could hear lots of loud noises. So I went out and I could see the gathering grow and grow and grow in like the 30 minutes we were out there. And I was like recording and tweeting about how, for somebody, again, right, like who survived war and really came to this country to free herself from all of that, and to seek safety, that I could have never imagined that the seat of power in the United States would be a place where we would get attacked and we wouldn't feel safe. And we weren't being attacked by a foreign entity. We were being attacked by American citizens. And so we rushed out because there was some breach that happened with the building to leave. And on the radio, I heard them talk about snipers. And I remember thinking to myself, yes, I'm in an armored car, but and I have 6 armed officers with me, but if I get out of the car, right, like when they take me from one place to another, they can't protect me from a sniper. And I texted my ex-husband and said to him, like, I don't know if I will make it today. As you take care of our children, can you please let them know that I love them? Because for the first time, even though I dealt with death threats and all of this, for the first time, I truly felt like no matter how much protection was provided to me, that there was a real vulnerability. And as much as I like to be proud of the fact that I survived war and I can take on a lot, I might not be able to survive a sniper, targeting me. And I'm not privileged enough, right? Like many members who were saying, they put on a hoodie and wanted to blend in, because there's no blending for me. And I was grateful that the the Capitol police officers who were assigned to my detail knew enough that I couldn't be housed with other members of Congress, that I had to be housed alone and with leadership. And so they took us to a military base, and I was there with the other 10 leaders, 5 from the Senate and 5 from
They knew that
the House.
because you are more vulnerable than other members.
Yeah. Or that there could possibly be vulnerability for me with other members.
From other members. Yeah. I mean, that's unspeakably frightening that other members of Congress could say or do something that would put you in jeopardy.
Yeah. Because the reality is that I do serve with people. If they were given the opportunity to harm me, would do so, and there was no repercussion for them. And so if you are, you know, in the middle of an insurrection, you could take your shot.
Yeah.
And it's scary to think that that's a possibility, but it truly is.
So you're coming out of the car, you're thinking about this, you're speaking to your now ex-husband, and just what's going through you that you've come through this amazing life journey and you've reached this plateau and now you're incredibly vulnerable?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to think about it all and to put it into context. You know, how we could have even found ourselves as vulnerable as we did on that day. But it is our reality, and we now have to try to do everything that we can, that there is no another January 6th, that, you know, the domestic threats we face in our country are taken seriously and dealt with, and that we should never normalize members of Congress proudly saying that they are Christian nationalists, and that, you know, they think it's something to be proud of, to defend people who are in jail now because they preached the Capitol, that they, you know, threatened the lives of members of Congress, that they wanted to hang the vice president, that they thought it was, you know, that was going to be really entertaining and fun if they could get a hold of, you know, a member of Congress. We just have to draw a line in the sand and say, this can't be the way we move forward as a country.
There's 2 levels of response, of our national response to what happened. There's a sort of, let's call it a policing or a DOJ level where people are being found, tried. Some people are going away for short periods of time. Some people are going away for longer periods of time. And then there's a higher, I guess you could say, sort of attorney general level of, are we dealing with the leaders who fomented this mob, who inspired this riot? Talk about your feelings about how we are responding to that on both of these levels.
I think we are, again, because it's a new mindset, right, to deal with what we are dealing with right now. Domestic terrorism is not something that has aggressively been worked on or understood or resourced. And now that there is a push towards that, I feel like there's a different muscle that a lot of law enforcement has to use. Because we are finding out that a lot of these people are also in their ranks. Mm-hmm. I do believe that the January 6th hearings, a lot of the hearings and bills that we've passed around domestic terrorism is creating an urgency for law enforcement, especially federal law enforcement, to say, we used to ask this question of ourselves when we were dealing with international terrorism, right? Like, where were they radicalized? Who's doing the recruitment?
Right.
Like, where are these cells existing in, right? Are they online? Are they gathering somewhere? What places of worship are they at? To now use that mindset and way of tracking the threat on domestic terrorists, which I think with the change of some laws and with the change of fully resourcing them, I think they're moving towards the right direction.
You are. I feel like we haven't nearly arrested enough people. We haven't sent them away long enough. And like, as you're alluding to, no one in the leadership of this has been called to account.
Yeah, I think the only one that's currently seeing, their leadership touched is the Oath Keepers, which I think it's a really important one, because they have membership, because they have the ability to cause harm, and because they are proudly talking about their desire to cause harm. But I believe in the ways in which we've been able to infiltrate and dismantle a lot of the international terrorism cells in our country. Once the effort is made, we will be able to do that. My only worry is that some of the people we are putting in charge of carrying out the task themselves might have ties.
Right.
And so this process in itself will take some time.
Yeah.
And, a lot of conversations and attention will have to continue to be paid to this.